welcome to Country Tough with Brandy von Holten. Today I have a returning client, but she's done changed her life. So this basically like having a brand new person here to interview. So today I have the lady that got me started into podcasting, and her name is Jen Fizer. Okay, so unfortunately she does not own part of the pharmaceutical company because that would be really cool.
I would have way more money if I did.
But talking about money, this girl is a money girl, and she helps all sorts of businesses with their money. Okay, she works for a place right now. It's so confusing. You're not going to get it, but if you listen really closely, maybe you'll hear it. But it's Mills Knows Bills. Okay.
Yes, you got it.
Mills Knows Bills. So Mills is not her. That is the person that she works with. That's the lady's nickname is Mills, which is short for Amelia.
Yep.
Right? So Mills, and then she knows about bills.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll give you a quick background on how that started because it is confusing and people are they go like bills. I think that's what you said first.
Bills. I was like, yeah.
So Mills, she's a friend of mine. She originally started as a personal finance coach. And so she was helping individuals with their personal finances. And then she got into the fractional CFO space and became fractional CFOs for businesses. She kept the same name. We're talking about changing it, but for the moment, that's what everything is. So.
I don't know. You know what? It's trendy. I mean, it's cute. It is cute. I mean, it's not intimidating. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of like I have a business called Horsemanship with Brandy. You know, I didn't put my last name of Von Holten on it because it just seems so much more easy. You know, like they're going to learn about horses with their cousin or their sister named Brandy. Mm-hmm. And then we have Building with David. You know, just same thing. It's just easier. So sometimes less intimidating. And the word fractional CFO. Let's talk about the word fractional because for me, I'm thinking fractions and I'm already scared. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what does fractional mean?
Basically part-time.
Okay.
Easiest way to think of that. We work with businesses that are kind of on the verge of needing a CFO, but don't need one full-time.
Okay. So a CFO stands for Chief Financial Officer. So tell me the role of a financial officer.
So the easiest way to think of this, because this is the other place that people get somewhat confused, is they think that we are just like their accountant and file their taxes. And we actually don't do that at all. So if you work with us, you would still need a CPA to file your taxes. Mm-hmm. But what I help businesses do is look at their finances on a weekly basis to make sure that they are hitting their goals, figuring out what is it that you're trying to, let's say that you're at 1 million and you want to get to 2 million this year. We figure out how to make that happen. And then I keep you on track. And have you ever heard that phrase, like what gets measured gets improved? Yep. This is the way to do that. So you are looking at your finances on a weekly and monthly basis, making sure that we are on track and being more proactive with what you're wanting to do.
Most definitely. You know, my husband and I have 4 LLCs and 11 DBAs. Mm-hmm. And you have to be a master of your paperwork because if you're not, you could be going in the wrong direction and thinking that you're doing great, but it could be something that the main direction you're not doing that's actually saving your butt, mm-hmm. and you don't even have a clue.
Exactly. And a lot of people or businesses, what happens is 2 things. First, they just look at their bank account. And so if there's money in there, they can spend it. If there's not, then they don't. That's kind of their first rule of thumb. And then secondly, when they get to the end of the year, they go to talk to their CPA to do their taxes. That's when they're finding out whether they made money or not. And that's a terrible time to be finding out. Usually it's happening after the end of the year. So let's say it's January 15th and you finally look at your 2024 taxes or profit and loss statement and you see that you made a ton of money. There's nothing you can do about it now. It's in the past.
Yeah.
You can't do anything to tax, save anything on taxes at this point. If you lost a bunch of money, then you don't know that either. And the other thing, if you now suddenly owe a bunch of money on taxes and you haven't been saving throughout the year, April is going to be rough on you.
Yeah. You're going to be shopping from your pantry.
Exactly.
And you're going to be selling things that you need to keep because you need that money, or at least that's what you're going to think you got to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've been in the, we've had to come up with some big money pretty fast before. We make monthly property tax payments now, which that has helped out a lot. Instead of just having to come up with almost $10,000 at the end of the year, we have come up with that money like the day before we needed it before, and it was from selling walnut. I mean, like, that just sounds like the countryest thing in the world, but some walnut trees saved us for a couple of years,
Here's the problem with that, or a bit of it expedites the problem too, because so you suddenly need to come up with a big lump sum of money. All that does is increase your taxable income for this year too. So then it's like, well, next year you got to pay taxes on the thing that you did to pay last year's taxes. So.
Yep. Yeah. You know what? Having a business is crazy because people get into a business because they have so much passion about this one thing that they really love. Like, I love horses. I love people. But then they don't know how to do marketing. They don't know how to do like management sometimes, like, how much toilet paper I have to buy and how many cleaning products, and just keeping, like, we own a horse trail riding facility. It's called Von Holten Ranch. And we have 32 electric sites and 75 stalls. We have a heated and air conditioned guest shower house. We have a venue because we used to host weddings that would hold 200 guests. My husband has a woodworking business. We have a business with homesteading, like we host these homesteading expos. And then I do all sorts of social media content creation for people. And we have a boarding barn. That is so much management. And then we got into business because we enjoy people, we enjoy horses, we enjoy the land. But then not only do you have to be like a master of your own industry, you have to be able to tell people about it, which is marketing. You have so much people coming to talk to you and to, book things. I mean, like, there's so much there. But then you also have to run your books. You've got to do that correctly. So a fractional CFO, you typically work with businesses that make, $1 million to $10 million is a fractional. Yes. And after they reach $10 million, they don't need a part-time CFO. They need a full-time CFO.
Generally.
Right? Okay. So what about people that their business doesn't make $1 million yet?
And that's a majority of businesses don't make $1 million. So those people, what I would advise that they do is basically learn as much as they can about business finance. And it's a little bit different from personal finance, but in general, they have the same principles. I want you to be looking at your profit and loss on a weekly basis so that you can start to see the trends throughout the year, figure out, and a lot of business owners, they go off of gut for the most part. I mean, it's how you learn, and it's kind of how you figure if you're good at business. A lot of it is because you just have good instincts. And a lot of people can just tell me in general, like, okay, well, these are the good months and these are the bad months. These are the months that I'm slow. But what they can't do is the planning that makes those slow months easier, right? So a lot of people, if you are someone that has a business, and for instance, your trail riding facility would be a great example. Probably you're probably busy 6 months out of the year, and then the other 6 months are
it's feast or famine, girl.
Exactly.
It is feast or famine. We are, whenever May hits, we're in the money, and we're in the money until the end of October, and then it's like a Mack truck hits a bridge. It's like you get the brakes pumped on your income, and then you have to slow your roll on your spending, and then you hope that you made enough money to make it from November until the end of April. So, man, I'll tell you, March and April, we're like, oh oh man, can we hold our breath? Can we hold our breath? So, but I will tell you, I used to be a school teacher, and I used to get paid once a month, and then some of the school districts, they would pay you twice a month. So I've been used to that crazy, like not getting a regular paycheck all the time, because as a school teacher, you can opt for your paychecks to be larger, but then not get paid during the summer. But I don't know, like it's always, and then being married to a cattle farmer, and then growing up, my dad was he was a farmer also. So we didn't have money for big amounts of time. And then you would blink and you would have all this money at the end of your harvest. And then you're like, pay stuff ahead, So yeah, it's like our income is like full throttle and nothing, full throttle and then nothing.
And that's, you probably have more experiences than most people. Some people may or may not have grown up with that. And then the school teacher is a great example of, like, on the personal finance side, even though you have a job, if you're only getting paid once a month, a lot of people struggle with that.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though if it's a month and you're getting paid every month, some people struggle with it on a 2-week or a single week basis, right?
Yeah.
Like being able to allocate what you need to allocate at the right times, and still knowing and being able to save money for those slow times. That's something that we help with.
So I've known Jennifer for a long time, like well over a decade, and it's because she's a great horseback rider, and she had come here to train with the clinicians whenever I had met her, and then we've just been friends through that. And she owned a coffee shop for a while, and I am addicted to coffee, so like I was like, wow.
You and everyone else.
Yeah, it's a legal drug.
Yep.
I'm all about it. Man, my coffee regimen now has gotten so elaborate. I do a French press, and then I use heavy whipping cream. And now after I do the French press, I put it into my, I think it's called a magic bullet. And then I'm blending that, and I'm like, how many more steps? I mean, like, I'm even grinding. I grind my own coffee beans. I've turned into a bougie freaking snob. I'm a coffee snob, but my stuff tastes so good. And I told David, I was like, we got to get a special box, because I'm taking my coffee stuff with me. I don't even want to.
I don't want to give it up.
I don't want to give it up. I like my home brew pretty much better than most places. I love the stuff that I got at your place, but I've gotten pretty dialed into what I like. So
it's funny, because I am not a coffee snob. I can go to a coffee shop and tell if it's good coffee or not, but at home, I have a Keurig. I put in some Coffee Mate, peppermint mocha creamer. That's it. That's my morning coffee.
Well, mine just has heavy whipping cream, and right now I've got a stevia in it because I'm trying to eat carnivore. So I had to give up my honey, which that is just devastating. And now I'm talking to these people, and they told me I need to give up my stevia, and I was just like my eyebrow raised, and I was like,
I feel like at some point there.
Yeah, I just
make
got
some concessions.
Got to draw the line, because I think I would rather be fat than to not have my morning coffee taste good. I like at some point I've just got to be like, well, I'm good.
This is it.
Because you only get one life, and my life includes coffee.
Yeah, you don't want to be miserable.
No, yuck. Just sitting around drinking water. Ugh. Like, I do love water, but anyways. So we've had that, and then you've been around, seen our business grow.
What year did you open? 2014?
We opened in 14 we did a soft opening. We opened like September 20th of 2014, just because we wanted to test the waters for a couple of months, because this was something, there's not like a manual on, hey, how do you turn a family farm that's been in the same family since 1906 and turn it into a trail facility and build all this stuff yourself. So we just had to figure it out. But
yeah, that first time that I came here, there was nothing. There was, like, we did a clinic in a field, parked in a field. There was absolutely nothing here.
Yep.
So it's very cool to watch over the years how you've turned it from literally nothing into what it is now. Yeah. Unrecognizable.
We actually won Missouri's Best Ranch for 24, which is ridiculous because, man, when we bought it, it was not Missouri's Best nothing. It was Missouri's Best grown-up family farm that ain't been lived on since 1979. That would have been the only award we could have won. It was
That's
horrible.
a very specific award.
But I've learned so much. And with that, we almost sold last year. We thought about selling it, and because we built this, we built it so quickly that it's got all of these structures on there. Well, then it would be really hard to make it a home. Mm-hmm. Even if, eventually, we're not going to do this to the day that we die, right? And we were just like, dang, we done built a whole bunch of stuff. Like, what do you do with a wedding venue? What do you do with a big old blocked bathroom that's heated and air conditioned and all this stuff? So we thought about, we love our clients so much, we were willing to let our property go. But then we just love it. We have so many things that we enjoy doing. My husband is a woodworker, not a cowboy, and I love trying to be fit. I love my Chicks and the Sticks. I loved the competition series that was called Country Tough Trail Versatility that we did. I love all the things that we do, and I love helping people be better and, help their horsemanship. So I'm this big old bubbly person, and then my husband's just a big old woodworker. So, we had to find what made us happy, and here we are. So part of that was the creation of Country Tough Times, which is a magazine. And that right there has really helped me with us slowing down Von Holten Ranch. We are now just open 64 days, but I think we're going to be open for 6 more days than that. So we might be open around 70 days in the year. That is so, we have really put the brakes on this to allow us to do other things. But that magazine that I came up with it helps my heart be able to still reach out to people. So it's called Country Tough Times, and I actually have Jennifer writing a section in there that's about financial advice. Mm-hmm. So tell us about your first article.
So the first article is all about keeping your personal and business finances separate. That is probably the first thing that I look at because people don't do it. If you have a business account, especially if you're a sole proprietor of any sort or a couple, you might have a personal account, but you're running a lot of things through the business that are personal expenses. And while that may not seem like a problem, it can be. First of all, you don't actually know how profitable your business is because it's paying for things that it shouldn't be. But also, in the case that you would ever want to sell that business, you have muddled finances there too. So you can't even try to sell it to somebody else because they are looking at something that's not right. And if they do buy it, you're not going to get what you want out of it.
Okay. All right. So confessions of a business owner. I will tell you that Von Holten Ranch buys my toilet paper.
Yeah.
And it buys my stamps. And I think that's about it.
Yeah. See, I think those are reasonable business expenses, though.
Right. I'm the manager, and I need to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I probably wouldn't give you any grief for those. But a lot of people are running very obvious personal expenses through their own. So they're buying all of their groceries, or they're going out on date night, and the business is paying for it.
Okay. Yeah, we don't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have 2 personal accounts. We have one for spending money like groceries, gas, anything if we wanted to go out to eat. And we have another personal account that we put money in there for bills. So there's that. And then businesses, each one of our LLCs has its own business account. And then in addition to that, we also have like electronic funds that are coming in, like credit cards and stuff like that. We have an account where it dumps that money in there, and then we put it into the correct where it needs to go. We have a tax account, so then we can put taxes back because we pay that quarterly, because we've got to get that money the heck out of our account or we will spend it. So we've got to have a safe place for that. And then we have, like, whenever people book these clinicians that are coming in, we have an account just for future events, because we've got to get all of those deposits moved over for the people that are not us. Yeah, our camping deposits, things like that, the events that we do, that money goes right into our account, and that's where we pay our business bills from. But we have so many accounts because each one of those LLCs has got a tax account, and a couple of them share an incoming credit card account, because I don't want all that movement. I don't want it to be connected to my regular account, because if there's a mistake, I don't need them to be into the bigger account. That account I empty daily. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I leave $1 in there. So then I know it's okay. It's still open and everything. But
so those are all really smart moves because you're keeping everything separate, and you're not commingling even business finances once they get into your bank. So
our accountant loves us.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes. You are an anomaly.
And I don't even feel like I'm doing a good job. Mm-hmm. I want to actually see if I can, I need help, because I don't know what our profit and loss is. I mean, we can look at it, but we don't keep up with getting our stuff in and stuff. Like we even have so much room. I tell my husband all the time, I was like, you run this business like a lemonade stand. Like, we need to put our expenses in, and I want to know a little bit more, like down to the week, down to the month. That would be a step one for us, and then eventually get to the week.
Yeah, I have so a current client. We have spent the last 3 months or so, because he has 3 businesses, and all income, all expenses, he was dumping into one of those business accounts, and then trying to, on the back end, we're trying to figure out what was what, so that we can make all of these actually truly tell us whether they're profitable or not. And it has taken a lot of time and effort, because when you're doing that, you might think, oh, we can sort it out later, but your memory goes, right? Like you're like, well, was that a this business or this business expense? So it's really way more difficult to clean up than it is to just start correctly from the beginning.
Girl, it's
not impossible, but
it's easier to give birth than to raise the dead. Mm-hmm. Well, I tell people that all the time. With our trail riding facility, it would have been so much easier just to have virgin land, but we had land that had stuff on it for over 100 years, and we were like, oh my gosh, that statement is burned into my existence for the rest of my life, because we had to clean that thing up and then build new. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? An example of what you were just talking about is Von Holten Ranch owns a T-shirt, making business called it's country-tough.com. And, well, here's the deal, is that's underneath one LLC. One of the other LLCs is Brandy Von Holten LLC, and I have a DBA of Country Tough Times. The magazine that you're writing for is underneath myself. Well, whenever people get a yearly subscription to the magazine, they also get a T-shirt. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have these T-shirts, and it would have been real easy just to run that through, but the income came underneath Country Tough Times. That's underneath another LLC. So I'm going to actually have to, in my books, I will have to purchase those shirts to account for, that inventory and stuff. So that right there, it would have been real easy just to do that. Boom. Mm-hmm. But we've got hundreds of shirts that are going to have to go out. Mm-hmm. And so that right there is that muddling that you're talking about. You can't do that. You've got to keep it separated.
Yep, exactly. And you're saying it exactly right too, because that's the other thing. A lot of, if you have businesses, because a lot of people have more than one business too, and especially like what your situation is, those businesses all kind of work together. So it's hard to draw that line on what is this business versus this business, but you're doing it correctly in that you're doing the accounting right to make sure that each business gets their portion of the income and expenses.
And another thing that we have done is Horsemanship with Brandy has some other things, has 3 DBAs, but I'm not ready to talk about those because I'm going to surprise the world. Oh, y'all don't even know. I'm crazy and I'm ballsy and I'm going to do something big. Okay. Anyways, underneath Horsemanship with Brandy, I needed to separate myself from Von Holten Ranch for liability purposes. Mm-hmm. So that Horsemanship with Brandy with the 3 DBAs that's underneath it, it has its own insurance. And so whenever I teach a clinic with Von Holten Ranch, I have to rent the facility from Von Holten Ranch just to make sure that I keep my other businesses separate. And there's like that actual, like if I was ever to be sued for something, then there would be actual separation. Then people don't get to get everything. They get to get what business, they could sue what business. So the liability in the insurance standpoint, you've got to keep those lines blurred, because if they're blurred, then you can become liable and you could actually mess yourself up, insurance wise.
The other thing that you would want to consider is having that rental agreement in writing rather than just, in your head. You know that you pay X amount of dollars in rent to Von Holten Ranch. Just to make sure that should anybody question that or try to, sue you for that, and they're trying to prove that actually Brandy runs all of these things. So if you have agreements in place, that helps to reduce that liability.
Right. That's like Brandy Von Holten LLC. It has an office on the premise of Von Holten Ranch. Well, I have to pay rent. I pay rent to Von Holten Ranch for my office. So, you can't just, no, all that stuff, it has to be a separate entity. So what's a piece of, do you have any other advice or any other, I know you've got you're a contributor to this magazine, and oh my gosh, it was, oh man, I used to listen to Dave Ramsey, and it was always some basic stuff, but then you're like, oh, this is good. This is good, and then it's just like, well, duh, no duh. But you've got every month or every subscription, you'll have a new article out. And any advice or any articles that you think that you're like, man, I really want to talk about this?
Oh gosh, there's so many topics, but to keep it pretty, light today, we don't want to go too into the weeds. My biggest advice is always to just people start looking at your numbers. And even if you don't really understand it yet, there's some basics that will become much easier the more often that you look at it. So your profit and loss statement, you'll want to look at that weekly and then at the end of the month so that you can kind of see where you ended up.
Okay. So what's something that you have found with looking at people's profit and loss that was like, oh my gosh, what is something?
So a lot of times it's very confusing for people, or they're only looking at certain parts of it. And there's 4 parts of your profit and loss. There's the top, that's the revenue that you're bringing in. That one's pretty easy. The next is your cost of goods sold. And lots of people get a little confused about what should be included in there. That is anything that is directly related to whatever it is that you sell. So if it is if you're a mechanic, you are putting any of the parts and then the labor directly tied to installing those parts. That's your cost of goods sold. So it has to be something that's like a tit for tat kind of thing. And then you'll have it'll be your gross profit that is under that. Then you'll have a bunch of expenses probably, because these are your operating expenses. And those are things that regardless of how much you sell, you probably have to pay these. So things like your rent and utilities, any payroll that's not directly tied to labor to install or sell whatever it is that you have. So those are things that like every month you have to pay these regardless of whether you're open or closed. And then at the bottom, I'm
feeling those right now.
Yeah,
because,
exactly. You should have a good handle on those.
Yeah, we're a horse ranch and we're in our off season. I know all about those right now.
All of your operating expenses are right now.
Yes. Whenever I just paid our equine insurance, it's got a comma in it, and I'm over here like, awesome. Yeah, we have to have that insurance to allow people to ride their own horses, on our property. And here we are. We got to pay it we have it divided out monthly. It's rough.
Yep. So that insurance, that's definitely an operating expense. But so then at the bottom, you get to see your net income or loss there. So those are the 4 parts that are on your profit and loss. But as you look at these on a more regular basis, then you can get a better handle on what these are, especially month to month. The other thing is that depending on the type of business you are, you'll want to look at things either on a cash basis or an accrual basis. And I always say, like, cash is kind of like your bank account. It's like what comes in and out, just regardless of when the sale was made. That's when that shows up on your profit and loss. An accrual is things, if you're taking deposits for future events, that's an accrual thing, because that's technically a liability for you until that event happens.
Right.
Or if you have accounts payable and accounts receivable, those are you should be running in an accrual basis. And the numbers can be totally super drastic depending on what type of business you're in.
Well, I know cash is king in our business, and I actually say it's queen, but I know you have a different reference for it. But I know that without deposits, we don't make it. We don't make it during our off season. And so many people think that we take that deposit and we put it into a magical savings account, and then they'll be like, hey, I need to cancel. And I'm like, it's a non-refund, honey bun, because that money was spent months and months ago. And that's how we get to survive. And our trail riding facility is on the backs of a deposit. So, man, a lot of people in the horse industry struggle with that because we care about our clients and we understand hardships and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know what, if let's say that my mortgage was $2,500, I don't get to bring him a check for $2,300 and then $200 of, well, Susie came into a bad time and she needed to cancel. I don't get to do that. I have to pay those actual operating expenses. So, yeah, I know all about that right there. That's like, I hate it. And people get so mad when we don't just like give their money back. And I'm like, we a 2-person operation, and you see how hard we're working. Like it is what it is. You know, we have to depend upon those. It's the negative part of my business. Yeah. I hate that. I hate it. So,
yeah, just having policies though. Yeah. That's what you got to stick to them.
Oh yeah, we have policies and we've got them on our websites and stuff. But everybody thinks that their horse going lame or someone getting sick or something like that is always a special circumstance. But everybody's got that same special circumstance. And so it's just, I hate that part of my business. I like making people happy and I want people to like me, but I also don't want to go into bankruptcy because I gave all these deposits back for stuff. I don't know. People need to reassess the definition of a deposit and like read stuff, because whenever they pay online, they have to agree to it right there. So I don't know. They don't have to send me gross pictures of their horse being injured for me to, I mean, like, it's killing me to not do it, but I've just got to do it for everybody. Yeah. You know? So to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Okay. So the easiest way is to probably email me, and that's jen@millsknowsbills.com. It's JEN at Mills is MILLS, Knows, KNOWS, Bills, BILLS. It's very similar, all of those, and then .com. But, yeah.
And then they can also read your articles in Country Tough Times magazine, and it's spelled correctly. Do you know we did a trademark on Country Tough, and nobody had it spelled correctly? They had tough with TUFF and country with a K. Okay, no. Just Country Tough. So COUNTRY and then Tough, TOUGH. So Country Tough Times, TIMES, countrytoughtimes.com. And this is Jen Fizer, and you'll be able to find her. I think, what's the name of the title of your article is Profit with Jen?
Yes.
Yep, Profit with Jen. All right. So, and then if you had difficulty understanding what the heck we were saying, I'll put it in the write-up that's with the podcast. So we'll make sure you get Mills Knows Bills.
Exactly. Come check me out on our website.
Yeah. And if you would like to check out Von Holten Ranch, my last name is VONHOLTEN, Von Holten. And we're in Missouri, and we love having guests. Just make sure and check out our website for our calendar, because remember, we downsized so we can do some other things also. So thank you for tuning into Country Tough with Brandy Von Holten.